Hey everybody, this is Dream. Today we have a 5-game slate for the NBA. After a nice big win yesterday, hopefully we can continue having more big wins this week. So let's get another one today with this 5-game slate. I typically don't love 5-game slates, especially when there's lots of injuries, but it is a decent slate, though there's a lot of value, so it's going to be a little bit harder to find the more expensive guys that are going to be viable. I didn't really love a lot of guys at the top here, and obviously Giannis is probably the best one, but he is a little bit risky today. FanDuel seems like a hot mess today. I won't be playing that, but I will have some picks for you. Let's go ahead and get injury report. For the Bucks, Giannis is probable. Portis is out. For the Pacers, Turner, Nimhard, and Nesmith are all questionable. Halliburton is out. For the Grizzlies, Adams is out, and Bane is questionable. For the Timberwolves, Gobert is questionable, and Towns and Prince are out. For the Magic, Okiki is out, and Isaac is out. For the Heat, Robinson is out. For the Cavs, Mitchell and Love are both questionable. For the Thunder, Dort is out, Pokusevski is out, and JRE is out. And for the Warriors, Moody, Baldwin, and Iggy are out, and then Wiggins is questionable. So we got a lot of injuries to consider, especially questionable statuses. So make sure to join the Discord, and you'll be able to get some automatic updates when those updates hit. For that situations, we have an NBA injury report in there that updates automatically as we get news. So make sure to come check that out. As such, let's get into the players I do like today. And we're going to start with, actually, we're going to start with Giannis here. Now, Giannis is probable today, but if he plays, he's definitely priced fair enough that we can utilize him on the slate. He's also priced here the same as he is on FanDuel, which is definitely beneficial. He has nice upside in this matchup, assuming he does play a full complement of minutes and doesn't get in foul trouble. He's been playing really well for the most part, but he's had a couple off games. But he has, gigantic upside, obviously, especially in a fast-paced matchup against Indiana. Then we're going to look at D'Angelo Russell, who has a good matchup here against Memphis, who's been kind of up and down lately. He's been playing really well, and his price has come down some from where it was in the 7,000s. And with as long as Gobert gets ruled out again, he's definitely going to be viable here. His usage should be pretty high with Gobert out, but I don't like him as much if Gobert ends up playing. TJ McConnell is in an interesting spot here, obviously in a tough matchup against Milwaukee, but his price no longer makes him a must-play either because it's come up a bunch. But he has, if the injuries get ruled out for Indiana and he starts, he'll be a good play, most likely, just considering his upside and stuff like that. But he's no longer a must-play due to his price point. Then we're going to look at Buddy Hield for Indiana. He's kind of in the same boat. Really depends on the injuries. But when he does get the injury situation in his favor, he definitely has a lot more usage, and that gives him more upside in this matchup. And his price is actually really good for that. He's almost good enough to be used regardless of what happens, but he's a little bit streaky whenever the Pacers are fully loaded. So we'll have to wait and see about the injury situation for Indiana. Then we'll look at Jarrett Allen. Now, this is a little bit contingent on Mitchell being out, and also, Kevin Love, he'll get more upside as a result. But his price keeps coming down, and surprisingly, at $6,000, he's a very viable play on the slate at that price point. Obviously, he has a little bit of a streakiness to him, but he's got a great matchup here against Oklahoma City, and so I really do like him in the slate. You could also take a look at Evan Mobley if those guys get ruled out as well. Then we'll look at Brandon Clark. If he draws a start again, he would definitely be extremely viable. He had a really good game against Golden State, and I look for him to have another good one, assuming he starts. But we're going to have to wait and see if he ends up starting. So if he does start, then between him and Xavier Tillman, whichever guy starts is going to be a guy that's in my lineup. I can tell you that. Then we'll look at Precious Achua for Toronto. Now, he's in a very interesting spot. He has been over 22 fantasy points in 5 straight games, and he's playing good minutes. The risk here is that Toronto tends to muck with things as things go throughout the season, so his minutes are probably not locked in for what he's done the last 5 or 6 games, but overall, he's been playing well, and while a guy's playing well, he's good to take a look at, and so I think he's viable on the slate. Pat Connaughton, also in another guy that's in a similar situation. I don't love him, but his price keeps dropping, and he's playing around 30 minutes per game lately. And he's also averaged over 20 fantasy. He's had over 20 fantasy points rather in 5 of the last 6, and so I think he's viable on the slate. Then we're gonna look at Xavier Tillman for Memphis. Now, the caveat with him is if he starts last game, it was a very late game, and then they decided he didn't start, and then of course he only got 15 fantasy points, which was okay at his price being $3,200, but it still wasn't ideal because he only played 13 minutes. He would obviously probably had some more if he had played more. So if he does start though, he would definitely be a top tier play, and I would definitely play him. But if he doesn't start and Brandon Clark does, then Brandon Clark would be the guy to go with. Also, if we're going to look at the Cleveland guards, I'm just going to mention Cleveland here for a moment because Mitchell being questionable. If he gets ruled out, Garland and Levert are both in play as well. So that's what I have here on FanDuel. On DraftKings. Let's go over to FanDuel. Now, for FanDuel today, I've just got my top 5 plays. First being Giannis. He looks like he's in a really good spot here. He had a few games off with injury, so he should be good to go in this one. If he does play, which it looks like he will, he's probable right now. He should play over 30 minutes and be on pace to have a really good game here. I really think he's in a great spot, and his price point is pretty good for what he normally does. And so if he does play, he'll be a great option. I also really like Drew Holiday here on FanDuel. He's been a little bit inconsistent lately, but assuming that everybody's good to go here, he should be in play with a nice plus matchup against Indiana. Then we're going to look at TJ McConnell. Now his price point is not ideal here on FanDuel. A lot more expensive than DraftKings, but he's still viable as long as he continues to start and those guys are ruled out. So wait and see on that, but he's in a good matchup, assuming that the situation plays out. Then we'll look at D'Angelo Russell. Now he has played pretty solid lately. I really like him on both sites. Only he's a little bit more expensive here on FanDuel, but he is viable. He has nice upside, and especially if Gobert gets ruled out, I like him even more. And then we're going to look at Brandon Clark. Now, this is very dependent on him starting, obviously. So if he does start, he'll be viable today. But his price is not cheap, so do keep that in mind. I'm also going to mention Cleveland again over here. Darius Garland and Karis LeVert will both be in play if Donovan Mitchell does get ruled out, which he might today. It seems like it's a little bit hit or miss if he'll play today or not. So we'll have to see. If he doesn't play, though, Garland will also be in play. So with that said, guys, thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. And have a nice day, guys.